Welcome to Fitness Casual, fitness and nutrition tips for busy people. I'm your host, Andrew Hayes, and with me is the forever thankful, grateful, Kat Best.
Hello, hello.
We're just coming off of Thanksgiving, so I feel like that's top of mind. Mm-hmm. What is your least favorite? Everyone has lots of favorite holiday dishes, but what's your least favorite holiday dish of any holiday?
Stuffing. Hands down, stuffing. I haven't eaten stuffing in forever because it just never appealed to me. I don't know anyone who eats stuffing at any other time other than Thanksgiving. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, what is the purpose of this? Is it purely for Thanksgiving and only Thanksgiving? Like, is anyone making it on a Saturday night? I don't think so.
This is really lame, but I'm going to say +1 to that. That's also my answer.
Really?
And I had the same thought because I was at the store buying a bunch of stuff. This is our first time, I guess, truly hosting in a while. And so I had to buy all the stuff, all the gravy and all that. And I was buying the stuffing. And it's just so funny because it's in the store 12 months out of the year. But who is buying stuffing the other 11 months? But I agree. It's just old bread that kind of tastes like that kind of tastes like turkey. There's also other flavors, which I didn't know until I was shopping for it. There's like turkey flavored stuffing and chicken flavored stuffing. And yeah, it's not for me either. I also just, anyone who's listening, whether you work with us or you follow us, you probably are familiar with the term non-negotiables, which is something that we teach all of our clients. No food is off limits. You should have your non-negotiables, beer, pizza, cookies, whatever. If you have a coach who doesn't give you non-negotiables, it's the wrong coach for you probably because it's not sustainable. For me, white bread is not on that list. If I get a burger, maybe I'll have the bun because it's already there and I'm, budgeted for that, so to speak. But like, you won't find me going to the store and buying a loaf of white bread or Italian bread. I will eat sourdough, but that's about it. So I think that's part of the reason why I hate stuffing is it just seems like not an appropriate cheat food kind of thing. You agree with that?
I agree. And if you're going to eat bread, like, I'm eating bread, I'm having a baguette, I'm not doing it the way stuffing is made. And also at Thanksgiving or I guess holidays, you have an assortment of 5 to 6 different starchy carbohydrate options. So that's just never my go-to. I am 100% in on like the roasted root vegetables. I love like roasted ones, but yeah, I'm not into stuffing. I also am like not that big of a fan of a mashed potato. It's kind of a hot take, but it's just never my go-tos. Do you like cranberry sauce? That's
cranberry
always
sauce is okay. It's a little weird. It's not as weird as the mint jelly that people serve with lamb at Christmas. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's weird.
I've never had mint jelly.
Odd consistency.
Love lamb. Yeah.
Leah, my wife, makes a mashed potatoes with pancetta for Thanksgiving, which is really good.
Yum.
So +1 for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure that's
interesting.
Delicious.
Well, if you like stuffing, I had a friend at Thanksgiving who said stuffing was his favorite dish. So no hate. That's just, a personal opinion, but no food is off limits. I'd rather save it for the cookies or a couple beers or something, but that's just me. You got to have your own non-negotiables. So
yeah.
Today we're talking about, appropriately enough, how to avoid holiday weight gain. And we use the term avoid very deliberately. If you are really committed on your journey right now, maybe you're working with us or maybe you're just really steadfast in losing weight, this could be a good time of year for you. But I think for most people, the goal should be see your family, see your friends, enjoy yourself, celebrate your wins for the year. Just don't go overboard, right? And so one of the things we talk about is Christmas or Thanksgiving. Is it just a day? Then don't track your food. Don't sweat it. Are you traveling, though, for 3 weeks and you're using the excuse to go completely off the wagon? Well, this is probably a good episode for you because we will give you some tips for how to avoid really setting yourself back. And the stat that we put out in our guide, which we will make sure everyone has access to at the end of this, is that it's like 28% of people gain over 6 pounds in the holidays. And that's really what you want to avoid. There's shame with that. There's guilt with that. There's, the sluggishness, all of the things that come with really falling off. And so we want to keep you on track without giving up everything you love. And so to start, Kat, we'll get into some tips in a minute, but I want to talk about why the holidays in particular is so hard for people. And some people think it's because you're drinking more if you do drink. Some people think it's, the increased sugar, whether it's through stuffing or cookies. Some people think it's just overeating at meals. You really indulge at Thanksgiving or a holiday dinner. And the blanket answer is it's really different for everybody. And that's what makes it hard. And so if you are wondering why it's so difficult, what Kat and I like to say is you need a plan. The reason people don't stick to their goals, or at least stick to the boundaries that they're setting, is because they don't have a plan. And if you are expecting to walk into your family dinner or a night out with friends and expect them to have your health best interest in mind, it's probably not going to go well for you. We talked about this in our boundaries episode. It doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means a lot of people are not the best influence, and they're also maybe going to fall off the wagon a little bit for the holidays. And so they're not going to walk in and say, hey, Kat, like, you probably don't want any carbs today, right? I made you this different meal. It's not going to work that way. And so you need a plan. And having a plan also gives you peace of mind to know that you can enjoy yourself without that shame or guilt. The plan should not be go to the gym and try to burn off calories. It doesn't work that way, first of all, but it's just also not sustainable. And it also shouldn't be shaming yourself, feeling guilty, because we're here to give you permission. And it also shouldn't be avoiding the stuff altogether, which we've talked about. All the people are like, oh, I just won't eat any carbs. Like, that's probably not a good strategy either, unless you don't enjoy carbs. That's fine. So we're going to walk through that. You really deserve to enjoy yourself this holiday season, and we have some plans in place for you. And we have a guide for it, but we're going to touch on the 4 pillars, so to speak, high level. Anything to add to that, Kat, before we go into the actual habits?
I think main thing is also we live in a collective society where people all agree that you can overeat during the holidays. It's like if you don't, actually, there's something wrong with you. Or, Thanksgiving was last week. How many people have I been like, how was your Thanksgiving? And everyone's like, I ate too much. Like, it's the classic response every single person has, and it's very bizarre. But that makes it normalized, and that makes it acceptable, and it makes you go, oh yeah, it's what everyone else is doing. Or it's such a hard time of year, and then everyone's like, yeah, it is. You're all just feeding, this mind virus of thinking that it's okay to just become a slug and avoid all healthy habits for like a good month and a half, or at least like the month of December. So I think it's really important to know that you have to keep your mindset sharp and not fall into that trap. Not saying you can't overeat, that's not the point, but the point is you shouldn't just decide that nothing matters for this month because in January you think you're going to kickstart something miraculous that you've never done before, because honestly that's not going to happen. I've been a trainer and a nutritionist for many a January, and nothing really changes, or if anything, it could be like a week or two. But if you are consistent enough during the holidays, I promise your January momentum will be much greater or much higher. So mindset is key here, and also just try not to fall into that trap, because ultimately, like, you're allowing yourself or giving yourself permission to do something that's against what you should be doing.
Yeah. I love the quote that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Mm-hmm. And I would add to that by saying it's also seasonal. So based on where you are, geographically, but also where you are time of year, if you are flying somewhere or driving somewhere that you don't usually go, and are surrounding yourself with people you don't usually surround yourself with, your habits are going to become their habits even for that short time. And so you need to prepare for that. And that's something that I experience personally when I host or go somewhere else. Like I have non-negotiables. I'm a normal person. I drink pizza, I eat pizza and drink beer, but I also can get tempted around other people who I don't usually see, who don't know my mindset and stuff. And so I need to have a plan as well. And so it's really important to kind of prepare for the worst, so to speak, knowing exactly what you said, that society as a whole is kind of endorsing just doing whatever. So that's why you have a plan. And we have some tips for you. So let's start with number 1.
All right. So I think everyone needs a set of non-negotiables on the day of the big holiday meal. Or if you have a work party that night, I don't know, like whatever that big day is where something's happening, you should have a set of a few things you do. This could be 1, it could be a few. If these are already part of your normal routine, I encourage you to just be as normal routine as possible and try not to even deviate all that much. But the first one is to drink water. Water is so important for, we really teach our clients at every single day that you are alive, you need to be drinking water. And definitely, I would say on holidays, it will help with any fatigue you might be having, which could cause sugar cravings, helps with energy levels, but it also really can help you not overeat. And not overeating can be something you are trying to aim for during a holiday meal, but you don't need to focus on restricting to meet that goal. You can also, just drink enough water, and then you may naturally eat less. It's like those little things will make a difference. I know a lot of people tend to feel bloated or just like crappy after a big holiday meal. So the more water you drink could help your body kind of get rid of that excess water, helps with the sodium balance, and all the water retention you could have from eating those carbohydrate-rich foods. So I think drinking enough water on that day will help you feel better in the following day or even that day, which will help you just ultimately not feel as guilty or have shame or whatever sensation or emotion you get from holiday eating. And then the same thing you should do when it comes to food is have a high protein breakfast. A lot of people will try to skip meals or skip breakfast, skip lunch, and just have that one big meal per day. I don't think that's the worst approach, but I do think that leads to more binge-like behavior when you are at the party. Like, let's say you don't eat all day and the appetizers come out, and you could just kill 3,000 calories right there because you're so hungry, you've waited all day for this moment, and then that leads to you eating way more over the course of a few hours than you would if you had a high-protein breakfast or a high protein lunch. But I think at the very least, breakfast, you wake up, you eat a normal meal, maybe try to add 20 to 25 extra grams of protein on there because you might not be getting it later. I teach a lot of our clients to also perhaps scale back carbs and fats at those meals to keep room for later, but you have that big dose of protein, so you're going to be satiated. You're also going to have energy, and that can also contribute to just better overall decision making. So if you're making a protein smoothie, you can maybe add an extra scoop, maybe remove the peanut butter. If you're doing eggs, you could add a few extra eggs or egg whites in there just to up the protein. Really simple stuff, but this does make a big difference. And of all of our clients, when I talk to them after the fact of like, hey, how'd it go? Blah, blah, blah. It's always, I had a high protein breakfast and I drank water. Those are the two main ones that people feel really, really good about going into that day. So they may sound small, but I think they will make a profound impact. And also like how you feel going into that holiday meal, your mental state, like those can contribute to like feeling better there, which is huge. And then
I just want to add the snacks is something that I think a lot of people don't have that much issue with until the holidays too, where you eat meals at weird times. Usually, let's just say Christmas dinner, for example, you might have a 3 o'clock meal. That's going to be huge. This just happened for Thanksgiving for a lot of people. And so maybe you skip lunch, which is, to your point, maybe not the worst move, but then you show up to a house at 1 and there's all these pretzels and chips, and so you're just binging on those because you're hungry, right? And that's a reasonable response, but it's maybe not what you even want at the end of the day. And so having that protein can really help mitigate some of that, again, if it's not what you want. If you're really looking forward to the chips and guac, then by all means dive in, but you have to prepare. Again, for someone else is now determining when you're eating and how much and what snacks are out, so you need to prepare for that.
Absolutely. And you also, I also noticed that my Thanksgiving, when the appetizers are out, a lot of people are like, oh, I got to save room for dinner. And, that is a good way to think of you don't maybe know when dinner's happening, but it could be in an hour or two, and you do want to have room there. And then dessert's coming. So there's a lot of things happening on holidays where you can easily overshoot and then end up in a dicey spot. So slowly pacing each of those. I really like the 1 plate rule, which could work for appetizers too, but it's a little harder there. But it could be you just make 1 plate of all the things you want to try, and then you don't have any more. Works also for making a plate, for the big meal itself. No seconds or anything. That's a good way to create some structure and prevent you from just reaching for more and more and more.
Fantastic.
Last non-negotiable on the day of is movement. not telling you to go to the gym or even get a workout in. If you want to, great. Me personally, I crush workouts on holidays, but I'm not doing it from a place of like, I think I have to burn more calories. I just am extra incentivized, and it's a day that I do something a little bit different. I've been doing this for years. On Thanksgiving, it's like a ritual with myself. But I do have the time and luxury to do that. So a lot of you don't, especially if you have kids. So go on walks. I think a good family walk is great for holidays. You all go together, hang out, like you're already with your family, so you might as well just go do something physical. The more you move, it will help with even your mood. It will help reduce cravings, even helps with managing stress. There's a lot of stuff going on during those holidays, and a walk can also help with digestion. Big fan of the after dinner walk, or after whatever the meal is, if you can go on a walk. I know for a lot of people it may be dark or cold. I don't necessarily think that's a barrier to going on a walk. But I do think like even 10 minutes or just moving, pace the house, I don't know, move around a little bit can really help. But I think this ultimately helps people feel better. Feels like you did something for yourself. It feels like you're doing something to like be in control. And remember, this is not to burn the calories that you think you're going to eat. It's just to do something good for yourself. And movement, I think, is a really nice way to do that, and also not have to be food focused. So it's a habit, not focused on willpower or like the really hard things. It's actually, I think, easier to get some sort of workout or walk in, and that will have a really positive benefit on, the choices you make that day.
Yes, you are a holistic nutritionist, which I believe sets you apart from many. And it's something that's often overlooked. There's such a misconception around calories. Eat fewer calories, burn more calories, and it's really a lot more complicated than that, but in a simple way, which is the more small, good decisions you make, the easier it becomes, the more of a flywheel it becomes. We talk a lot about the negative flywheel. You're stressed, so you stress eat, so you sleep poorly, so then you eat more poor stuff the next day, and then you don't work out the next day, and it goes both ways. We did a turkey trot for Thanksgiving, and just starting off the morning, being outside and moving. Then I got home and someone was like, do you want a drink? And I was like, not really, because I feel like I'm pretty good right now. Whereas if I was just sitting around all day watching football and someone handed me a drink at 10 a.m., I probably would have said yes. And so it's important not to overlook those small habits and how they do add up to help you make good decisions throughout the day. It's a great point.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And then next big thing, and this is not an action, so it's not a non-negotiable because it's not something, it's not like an action you do, but this is extremely important. And I think this is important for every meal you eat, or just anything that you could have going on that could be around food, any event, doesn't have to be a holiday, but especially during the holidays, is you have to focus on being mindful. We all have heard the word mindful, great, sounds awesome, but doing it is actually quite hard. But that will make the biggest difference. And this is when people say, I want to feel present. That's what this could be. And it's also being mindful, just being aware. And there are a few really easy things you can do. The first is slow down. If you are eating the meal, I want you to take around 30 minutes to eat that meal, maybe 20, but definitely not less than 20. Put your fork down in between bites. Chew your food thoroughly before swallowing, and assess your hunger levels before grabbing more food, because there will always be surplus, right? Holidays, I've never been to one where it runs out of food. There's always just like excess. So you can always go back for more, but you should mindfully ask yourself, like, do I really want this, or is this cookie tray just in front of me right now? And that's just ways to be mindful. And there's also like tons of scientific research about how being mindful has a lot of benefits. So it's just really making sure you're not on autopilot and doing things that you don't want to be doing, but you're just slowing it down, being aware, being present in your body, and making sure like you're either you have room for more food, or maybe you feel really satiated and you're like, no, I feel good. Or if you're like me, I like to kind of have dessert round one, and then I'll wait like 3 to 4 hours and have a little more, but I'm taking that time to not have all of that in one moment, because I would probably feel uncomfortable, but I space it out and mindfully go like, I know I want dessert number 2, so I'm just going to wait a little bit. Like, that is being mindful and in control. If I was like, I'm only going to have dessert 1, and then I'm like itching to get dessert 2, but I told myself I can't have it, but then I have it, I'm not going to feel really great. So it's like little things like that of me saying dessert is important to me on this day, so I'm going to intentionally do these things.
I will
Then,
add mindful drinking to that, because I've seen a lot, at least in my personal experience, pairing wine with dinner. If that's your thing and you want to drink this specific type of wine that goes with the specific thing you're eating, then you should enjoy yourself. But there's also this social norm of having an alcoholic drink in front of you while you're eating. That is not always a great habit because you're not even mindfully drinking it. You're just kind of slugging wine or whatever else, a mixed drink, while eating food. And it's just kind of doubling the amount of calories, dehydrating you, all of these things. Again, if that's what you want, then great. But it might be easier to just have a drink before you sit down and maybe have one after and just have water with your meal, or maybe nothing at all with your meal. Again, if that's not important to you, which I think most people are not mindfully drinking 2 to 3 glasses of wine while they're also eating. So it's an easy switch to make.
I think that's a really good point. Very good point. Liquid calories are definitely something to be mindful of. And it's not saying that they're bad or whatever, but if you just slow that pace down, glass of water between each drink even, that can make a profound difference on how you feel. And Andrew, your tip is always to not drink alcohol close to when you go to bed. So maybe like get your drinks out, at the earlier part of the day. And then once you're eating dinner, dessert, whatever, just no drinks after that. That could be like a good barrier to have.
Exactly.
And then portion control. Can't forget portion control because that's a huge part of being mindful. When you're making your plate, and I'm not going to tell you that you need to prioritize protein and veggies on this day, but if they are on your plate, you could eat those first. And then maybe leave the starches to be last because maybe you don't need to have all of those. But I would say like having a balanced plate is still a good thing to aim for. Have your protein, have some veggies, fat, starch, just kind of know what you're looking for, but make sure you do get those veggies in there. If you're not a vegetable person, maybe aim to try one thing. And then, have the protein there, but diversity of nutrients is always a good thing. But ultimately, when you are in control of your portions, which in my family, you serve yourself. I don't know how others work. I couldn't fathom being served by someone. That is not me. Like, I truly can't. That's insane. But I get it, and I know a lot of people do that. But, for me, when I'm taking my own portion of something, I'm also thinking, like, do I really like this, or is this something I just want to try? And I'm certainly not putting things on my plate that I don't want. I don't care if someone's offended that I don't want to eat their whatever they brought. I'm not putting it on my plate if I don't want it. And I really hate wasted food. And I see the plates at holiday meals of what gets scraped in the trash. And I know it's like that did not need to go on that plate. That person put a heap of absolutely everything and didn't touch any of it. And like that drives me nuts.
Yep.
So don't be that person either.
True.
And then we have to focus on stress. Stress is a big pillar of holiday weight gain management. And a lot of people can't manage their stress, so they go to food. And managing stress is not meditating or all of the things you think of when it comes to stress. Like during the holidays, it's boundaries is absolutely a way to manage your stress. Peer pressure from family and friends can make it really hard to make good choices. So you probably also know who the people in your friend circle or family are that you struggle with this. Usually it's not coming out of left field. The specific people who are going to be like annoyed that you're not drinking or telling you to live a little, have fun, blah, blah, blah. So you need to be prepared to deal with those people if you don't want to partake in whatever they're pressuring you to do. And that's on you. And that's a really hard thing to do. I am definitely like a recovered people pleaser. I get it. It's very hard. But once you start making those boundaries, like that's self-respect. And that's really important. And that will just manage stress across the board. You could have, maybe you have a work holiday party on Friday night. Ahead of time, you could, whoever your work buddies are, make a boundary, or like maybe I'm going to leave at X time. Like you can do those things in advance to make yourself less stressed about going to the thing. A lot of our clients will message me like the days leading up and they just have this anxiety, and they usually know it's like, it's my sister, she's going to say blah, blah, blah. Like they know exactly what's coming at them. So it's like, let's strategize to have this go in a different direction. Or, whatever makes you uncomfortable is valid. and it's not like you need to call people out, but you can handle that yourself. Turning things down, changing conversation, you can do that very politely and graciously, so you don't need to be afraid of that. But if you don't stick to boundaries, like, stress can be high, you will do things you don't want, and I'm sure lack of boundaries honestly leads to holiday weight gain. Like, I'm sure.
Yep.
People who just can't put that line in the sand with themselves or with others, like, people are probably pushing you over the edge. It's not you by yourself doing these things. It's like a collective influence. So I do think, like, that's a huge, like, weight gain, principle to have.
Yeah, anxiety and stress is often tied to a lack of clarity. So we run our own business, and there are days when I'm stressed about the state of the business, and it's because I don't have clarity, or days where I feel like I'm off my fitness and nutrition game, and it's because I don't have clarity. And the reason we put the boundaries episode out before Thanksgiving, because it really is like 6 weeks of temptation now, is because it's important to have that clarity. If you walk into a party and it's your sister who's going to probably tempt you or say something, if you have something prepared, whether it's a response or change the subject or just however you want to handle it, there won't be any stress there. Most likely. I mean, maybe your sister, apologies if she's totally unhinged, then, you kind of know to expect that. But it's when you walk in and you know they're going to say something or do something and you don't have a plan, that's when that stress really mounts. So take care of that ahead of time, and it will feel really easy in the moment. And there'll be plenty of other things to talk about besides your choices about your own health.
No, totally. I truly used to get very anxious before holidays, and it was also unclear why. And I do, looking back, I know part of it was like I feel like there's so many decisions I have to make in the moment. And now I am not worried whatsoever about the holidays. I don't care. Like, I know what I'm about. I know what I want to eat. I know what I don't want to eat, and I'm very confident in that. So it gets easier over time. You just have to, like, put in the practice and care less. I think that's a big one here. Just
That's right.
worry less about what other people think.
Yeah, we're giving you permission now to focus on your health, not be bashful, take the beating briefly, and move on.
Yep. And then other stress manager is sleep, of course. I think during the holiday season, people are maybe out later, partying, and then you need maybe one terrible night's sleep more than you would normally have to really put you in a downward spiral. You're not recovering. It can impact your mood, but it absolutely will impact your sugar cravings and hunger hormones. If you're not getting enough sleep and you notice you crave more sugar, that is absolutely, like, by design. That's what your body is trying to do. And with all the changes around the holiday time, sleep can also, be not on your priority list. So I actually encourage you to really try to keep a strong sleep schedule, try to get your hours in, try to, if your family is like a late eater, see if you can encourage like an earlier meal. I think most people would be okay with that. So that could be one thing. Try not to like do things super late. Try to skew them a little earlier. But sleep really is so huge for how you feel. So that's a good one to always prioritize. And you would be surprised if you're sleeping well every night around holiday season, you probably won't gain as much weight as if you weren't.
Yep.
Like, that's just a fact.
Agreed.
And then last, stress manager, and as this seems silly, and I know, but breathing, mindful breathing. It's like it will calm your nervous system down in a matter of seconds. If you're getting anxious or whatever, or, you're going into something stressful, or you have to do all this Christmas shopping and you're overwhelmed, blah, 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 take a second, inhale for 5, exhale for 5. Huge habit you can do right there. That is so simple that I know most people wouldn't do it, but people who are into breath work or just like taking a moment to just is like, it can be really profound. So like little things like that, like those are tools for your toolbox to handle all of this stuff. And nothing is too small, and you just can't forget about stress, the impact of stress on your ability to gain weight, lose weight, whatever. It's pretty huge.
Agreed.
And then last thing I want everyone to focus on, I think this is actually most important, is to just be realistic. This is not a time to set big goals. December might not be the month that you build muscle or lose fat, maintaining is a goal. Tell all my clients, if you want to focus on maintaining for the month of December, let's do it. And that might mean like you know, eat in a caloric deficit, but the days you have parties or whatever, you just kind of don't care. You can kind of stay in that middle ground. I think just not gaining weight is a win. So be realistic about that though. And that might also mean, you know, you might gain like 1 to 2 pounds of water weight or whatever, but the point here is that you shouldn't be focusing on losing weight unless you want to, which you can. You absolutely can. Anyone listening could lose weight during the holidays. I believe it 100% to be true, but that probably shouldn't be your goal if you struggle with weight loss at other times of the year. You should just focus on the first few habits we went through of like water, protein, movement. Like that will get you much further. And set small wins. Like a small win could be to have, that one plate of dinner and not having seconds. Like that's a win. When you do that, you'll feel good about yourself, you'll build confidence, and you'll do it again in the future. You know, going on that short walk after your dinner, like that's a win. So those are small goals I want you to set. I don't want you to set these big, aggressive fat loss goals or whatever, because that's highly unachievable during this time. And another part of being realistic is maybe avoiding the scale. I think the scale is a very hot topic, and everyone's relationship with weighing themselves is very different. Some people can really handle doing it all the time, don't have an emotional response. Some people from, you know, it could be 1/10 of a pound gain, and then they're upset and all this stuff. So maybe if you have a tumultuous relationship with the scale, this isn't the time to be weighing yourself. You know, especially if you don't have any specific goal, like do not weigh yourself. Like you don't need to be. Or if you are weighing yourself, understand how scale fluctuations work. Water, you know, sodium, hydration, all of that stuff has a big impact. So you should be aware. But I also think like wear loose, comfortable clothing if you want. Like women, if you're wearing tight clothes and you feel a little bit bloated, like you're going to be uncomfortable. So wear something comfortable, like loose clothes. If you know the day after Christmas you're gonna feel like bloated and not that great, like that's probably not the day to wear like your tightest outfit. Like just be prepared, because you'll feel a lot better. And like these are little things I do for myself as well, and just being comfortable in your body will really help not feel guilt or shame or all of those things. You know,
I'm not the expert at being cool anymore, full stop. But I see enough of it around, and I know that baggy clothes are very in right now, and so
they are.
Own it. That's great. It's good. You can be on trend. Wear some sweatpants, pajama pants is what all the high school kids wear. So maybe not that, but whatever is comfortable for you, and own it.
Yeah, 100%. And my last point, and I think this is so important, is be kind to yourself during this time of year. It's a hard time for a lot of people. There's a lot of pressure also when it comes to Christmas and gifts and like all of the giving and all that. But it's like, you know, be kind to yourself. Don't sacrifice all of your self-care for other people at this time. I actually think it's a good time to like really double down on, you know, your skincare regimen, or, you know, get some good stretching in, or whatever it is that makes you feel like you're taking care of yourself. Do that and do more of it during this time, because this is just, it's tricky, and that will ultimately help you make better choices if you're feeling good. Your inner critic which is the voice that's telling you like you're fat, you look bad in that dress, you really need to have that second cupcake. Like your inner critic is going to be there, and try to replace that with compliments. It might be hard and it might feel forced, but you know, gratitude is very effective for a reason, because if you're grateful and you're trying to be positive, things will feel a lot better. And during holiday time, like that's also a time where it's full of like you're seeing family you don't normally see. There's so many good things that are happening. So, you know, remember those things and truly be kind to yourself, because beating yourself up or feeling bad or being discouraged, all of those things lead to choices that also lead to weight gain. And I think, or even if you do gain some weight, so what? If you're kind to yourself about it, that can also really change the course, and you can course correct and then not keep gaining weight. I'm sure a lot of people gain some weight during the holiday season, feel bad about themselves, double down, keep eating like crap. And then that really like sets a spiral. And then, you know, May hits and you're like, okay, I want to lose this winter weight. that kind of kickstarted at the holidays. So like, don't be in those patterns if you know you've been in that way before. And you really need to have a strong reset button after the holidays are over. I'm not saying like reset to do things you've never done before, but you need to reset to whatever you were doing before the holiday season. Like, you just need to be able to like get right back to that, because I've seen so many people like be in such a great place. Let's say it's like from August to November, they're crushing. And then that holiday season happens and then they never come back up for air from there. And then that's, you know, self-inflicted, and it's really challenging to get out of. But a lot of things you can do to really prevent those things. And that's really what it's all about. It's not really about the weight gain. It's about trying to not put yourself in situations that can cause that to happen.
It's such a good point, and we're going to help with the reset button as well. So we have, first of all, if you do nothing correctly based on this podcast and you just totally fall off the wagon and you don't have a plan and you don't stick to your boundaries, still be kind to yourself and just use that as motivation to have a plan for the new year. Ideally, don't listen to all 40 minutes of this episode and do nothing. You should hopefully take away some wins here, but if you don't, you can still make good choices in January. Don't let it set you back for the year, which is why we are doing a challenge the first full week of January, which we're really excited about. It's one of the few times a year where we do a challenge in our app. So it's not one of the mini challenges. It's a big challenge. We let anyone use our app. They see how the habit coaching method works that we use with our clients. And so that will kick off on January 7th, which is right when the kids go back to school, at least for me. And so if you're interested in that, we want people to sign up early so we can plan accordingly for how many people are going to be in the challenge. And so if you want to do that, you can DM either of us the word challenge. We'll also have the link in our Instagram bio. And if you do it early, we'll take half off the price. So it's only $20 to join. And again, we don't want your money. Everyone should get their money back. We want you to have skin in the game. So you try, so you bet on yourself. And the goal is to refund your money. Our last challenge, I think 96% of people got their money back. We make it very achievable. So for $20 with your money back, you also get an upgrade to our elite level, which means you get a personal nutrition calculation from us and meal comments from Kat to help make actionable decisions on your meals. It really is kind of like having a coach to start the new year. It's a no-brainer. So message us or click the link in our bio if you want to do that. That will also give you peace of mind for January. But again, try to use some of these habits, which I will recap. Number 1, set your non-negotiables. The ones we suggest: drink water, daily movement, such as walking, eat a protein meal to start the day. These are really simple wins that will set your whole day up for success. Number 2, practice mindful eating. Chew slowly. You should take about 20 minutes at minimum to eat your meal. Put your fork down in between bites. Mindful drinking. If you can, if you enjoy pairing wine with food, then have fun. Otherwise, maybe just take a break for 20 minutes, eat your food, and go back to drinking, or alternate with water. Portion control as well. Don't let Aunt Susie serve you. No, I'm kidding. You can serve yourself, but also have portion control. Number 3, manage your stress. So having a plan for those inevitably stressful moments with your friends and family. Managing your sleep. We are going to do multiple podcasts on sleep and how important that is. Mindful breathing, which I know everyone thinks is woo-woo, but we should honestly do some breathwork stuff too, Kat, with how powerful that is. 4, be realistic. You know, maybe you're not going to lose weight, and that's okay. Have some small wins, skincare, drink water, all of those things. Be proud of yourself there. Be present in the moment. Put your phone down. Those are all small wins, you know. And then we were going to do 4, but we did a bonus number 5 as a freebie, which is be kind to yourself, right? Try your best to enact these habits. And if you don't, that's okay, because tomorrow is another day, which I know is corny, but it's true, right? It's hard and not every day is going to be perfect. And so you want to enjoy yourself this season. It's a special time to enjoy with your friends and family. Don't take away from that joy by just only focusing on what you can and can't have and beating yourself up for the choices you've made. There is more time to course correct, and that's okay. Anything I missed in the recap?
No, I think that's perfect. And just remember your family traditions, all of that stuff. You can still partake in all of that and still have boundaries and not gain weight and all of those things we were just talking about. Like, you absolutely can do it. Things might look a little different this year, but it's okay because it's for the betterment of yourself and who you want to be in all of the holiday seasons going forward. So every year it's not super stressful and you're constantly worried, because that's not an okay way to live every year of your life.
Exactly. Yes. Don't dread the holidays. Hopefully this helps with that. Okay, our New Year challenge kicks off January 7th. It's basically free. You just have to pay something to win it back. We have much more success that way. Otherwise, we'd let you do it for free. So message us or go to the link in our bio. You can find me on Instagram at Andrew Hayes Life. You can find Kat at Kat Best Wellness. And we can also point you in the direction of our Alta Life School Hub, which is where a lot of our trainings and guides live. We have a full guide for how to avoid weight gain for the holidays, which lives in school, or we can also DM it to you. So find us on Instagram and we will get that to you. All right, everybody. Stay hydrated. Stay mindful. Have a great holiday season.
Bye, guys.